We saw a lot of cars in the practice session yesterday going off in that particular point, because the moment you put your wheel on the grass, you lose traction, and it's so critical with these 4-groove tyres that you lose traction just minimally, and woof, you're off. So here is David Coulthard coming through to complete his 13th lap out of 58. You can see how close he is to Mika Häkkinen. The gap was 1.5 seconds. It's now 1 second. Eddie Irvine was 17 seconds behind the 2 McLarens. And Frentzen is catching the 3rd place man.
Well, this is interesting. The McLarens have now dropped back into the 35s, and Irvine and Frentzen taking 6-7 tenths of a second per lap away from them now. So for whatever reason, the 2 McLarens have decided that that's the pace they want to settle in at, and I would think they'll get a hurry up anytime soon, because Michael Schumacher is on a roll, and these guys now you're seeing here, Irvine and Frentzen, are just beginning to squeeze that gap back down again.
Yeah, my guesstimate, and I emphasise it's not at all official, is that the McLarens are likely to be on a 2-stop strategy, and most of the others will be on a 1-stop strategy, which could dramatically affect things later on in the race. But we'll see fairly soon, because they're now on lap 14. As James has said, if they're coming in on a 2-stop strategy, and William Zanardi is in the pit lane.
And Coulthard has lost 3 seconds in the midsection of the current lap that they're on. Whether he's been off or got some kind of problem, I don't know. But Coulthard definitely losing some time now. Zanardi away. He was lapping in the 37, Zanardi. I guess all they could do is stop and give him another set of tyres as soon as they could get into some kind of strategy fuel stop window for this race. But Zanardi having an appallingly slow, and Coulthard's missing.
Where is he? What's happened to David Coulthard? Is this a McLaren out? Mika Häkkinen goes through, and David Coulthard, and there's been a big shunt. We believe Villeneuve is involved in a crash as David Coulthard comes into the pit lane there, out of the race. Thank heavens he's obviously all right. This is the first BAR retirement, and staggering into the pits and out of the race goes Coulthard. Well, there we are. That is the Achilles heel of McLaren reliability. Now that means Eddie Irvine is up into 2nd place. Heinz Harald is 3rd. We've seen one McLaren go out. What about Mika Häkkinen? Can he keep going? This may be the aftermath of that shambles in the McLaren garage just before the race started, when Mika Häkkinen went back into the garage, had worked on his car, got into the spare car, got back into the race car. Coulthard came in.
Oh, this is the accident. Look, I think he lost his rear wing, because that's not a driving error. That's a rear wing falling off the BAR. Not the first time this year. Happened to him in practice as well, in private testing, I should say. And that was a big scare for Villeneuve, just minding his own business, flat out, 175, 180 miles an hour, and boom, the rear wing goes. All of the aero is on the front of the car. Look, here he goes. Yes, rear wing falling off, and then a big accident. Somebody doing very, very well behind him there to miss him.
Zonta, you remember Zonta was battling with Jacques Villeneuve. Now, this is the critical point. The safety car is coming out. This means to say that Eddie Irvine and the rest of them will close up with Mika Häkkinen, the race leader. This is the procedure. You're looking at the race car now. You can see that its lights are flashing. What happens is he lets them all catch up. The leader will form up behind him, and then the rest of them, and eventually the safety car with the lights will go out. He will come into the pit lane, and he's got Häkkinen behind him.
Yes, he's got the race leader, so he lets Zanardi through, which is a stroke of luck for Zanardi, so he can now go back all the way back round and join the tail end of the field with his new tyres. So he's going to gain a lot of the time he lost in the pits, having that very, very early stop. And I think the reason they would have stopped there, they would put the safety car out, is the debris on the racetrack. It's very easy, especially with these carbon pieces, to pick up punctures, and they've really got to go out there and collect that Villeneuve car in a very tricky part of the racetrack into turn 11. There's no space there. It's very, very high speed, and really you don't want marshals out there trying to clear a broken car away with everybody else, even under, I think, waved yellows. I think they're right to bring the safety car out.
Well, I don't know whether from Mika Häkkinen's point of view this is going to be an advantage, having the safety car out, or a disadvantage. it means he's losing an 18-second lead, but meantime, we'll go to a break. Lap 17, and what an Australian Grand Prix we're going to have when the safety car peels off, because there is Michael Schumacher tucked up behind Jarno Trulli. He is in 7th position, and the time gap, of course, between him and race leader Mika Häkkinen has been reduced to a much, much lower figure. But in order to get to grips with Häkkinen, Michael Schumacher has first of all got to get past Trulli's Prost. He's got to get past Fisichella's Benetton, his brother Ralph's Williams, then Heinz-Harald Frenzen's Jordan. Eddie Irvine, who's in 2nd position, has got it written into his contract that he must let Schumacher through. But will Michael get there?
Safety car in at the end of this lap, so race resumes. You can see Häkkinen backing him up again. This is almost a restart, and he's lost 18 seconds. It's cost him very dearly. Wasn't worth coming in for a pit stop. They're not into a fuel window yet. It's too early in the race, so now Häkkinen's got some work to do. But just before Coulthard packed up, the two McLarens definitely eased off by a couple of seconds per lap. I wonder if they got a message from their pit saying, you know, remember there's telemetry on the cars. The pit knows exactly the temperature and pressure of everything on the car, saying calm down, cool down, because something is too hot on the car. Häkkinen's got a lot of work to do with a Ferrari climbing all over his rear wing as they head into the pit straight. Häkkinen slow away. Häkkinen very slow away. And what's happening? They're waiting for a green flag, I think, because they're hovering. And Irvine takes the lead. No, Häkkinen's got a problem.
Häkkinen's got a problem. Look, so what amazing. He must have overheated, because up into 2nd place goes Ralf Schumacher. Ralf Schumacher in the Williams is 2nd. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is in 3rd place. Ferrari leads, and Trulli is in 4th place. And Fisichella's got
Frentzen. Look, Frentzen taking 2nd. And touch again. That's the front wing gone from the Benetton, and De La Rosa running wide. Barrichello having a 2nd go, and he's got a problem too. Let me tell you what happened on the restart. Häkkinen didn't get away, and Irvine was smart enough to realise he mustn't pass until the start-finish line, which is a long way down the start-finish straight. So Irvine had to hover until they went over the white line. Then he could go for it. Häkkinen had no acceleration, and look, coming through there.
Trulli coming through, taking Schumacher. So he's up in the 3rd position behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and Michael Schumacher is going to benefit from all of this. And Eddie Irvine is now leading, with Mika Häkkinen still running. Eddie Irvine is leading a Grand Prix in his own right, justifiably. He's done one in the past on tactics and then let Michael Schumacher through, but Eddie Irvine could win this race, and Louis Goodman is with David Coulthard.
David, I guess reliability was always going to be an issue at this race.
Yeah, no, reliability was always a question mark for us, and in the end it's a hydraulic problem. We're not sure whereabouts it lies, but it meant I've lost the drive of the car.
Any idea what's happened to Mika?
I think it's the same problem.
Right, thank you, Louise. Thank you, David, and regrets for you. But meantime, Eddie Irvine is pushing like mad now to get away from Frentzen in 2nd place.
What happens when you lose the hydraulics, the throttle and the gear shift both work off the hydraulic system. It's a fly-by-wire, it's electrically controlled, sends a message back to a hydraulic unit that opens the throttle, and I suspect Häkkinen has got no throttle, and he's cruising in the pits exactly the same way that Coulthard did, and I would think he's just literally little more than idle and 5th and 6th gear to get back, and clearly something in the hydraulic system has overheated, and I think that's why they were backing off the pace. They're going to have a go at fixing his car. James, what's happening?
It sounds like a misfire to me, actually, Martin. I mean, he had a misfire, as you said, on the original race car, which was extraordinary the way he jumped in and out. What a day this guy's had. He's blipping the throttle, they're trying to listen to it.
Well, it sounds
rough to me.
Sounds as rough as old boots to me, and that we wonder if that Mercedes engine will keep going. It's obviously not a question so much of the engine itself as the hydraulic controls.
And you saw Fisichella. They're saying go, we can't find anything wrong, send him, see what happens. Let's see if that's cleaned it up. But Fisichella we saw going out behind him, or passing the McLaren pit. He's had a new nose from that incident you saw on the restart. And Häkkinen back out on track, but doesn't appear to me to have an awful lot of acceleration.
Last, 17th and last. The tables have been turned. Michael Schumacher was last.
No acceleration, Murray. He's out of the race.
And now Mika Häkkinen is last and soon to retire. Watch them pass him. Now, Eddie Irvine. There's 2 Ferraris left. Eddie Irvine is leading. There he is. Look how close Heinz-Harald Frentzen is, but the gap is a second. Jarno Trulli, a superb third. This shows how much the Prost has been improved. And in 4th position, it's Ralf Schumacher. 5th position is Michael Schumacher. So the brothers are fighting on the track, and both the Jordan, there is the Jordan of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and you can see the first 3 in the same picture on lap 20, 1/3 race distance in Australia.
Here's a scrap I'd like to see. Ralf Schumacher 4th, Michael Schumacher 5th. Remember in Austria last year, Murray, when Ralf just wouldn't let him through, and rightly so. Ralf on a good contract to do his best for the Williams team, and he's got to fight Michael tooth and nail, because really this race is wide open. Anybody could win this race in the top there, down to Barrichello in 7th place. Well, anybody can take this race, because we're only 19 laps into a 50, and there's somebody slowing it. I suspect that's Häkkinen still making his way back to the pits. Yeah. Yes, it is. So Irvine has now lapped the one-time leader of this race, and they're now lapping in the 1:34 as a reasonable pace. But now the McLarens have gone with that speed advantage, it's open to all of them.
Yeah, it's not inconceivable that we're going to see Eddie Irvine win his first Grand Prix for Ferrari. It's not inconceivable that we're going to see Heinz-Harald win his second Grand Prix, this time in a Jordan. Jarno Trulli, who led in Austria in 1997 in the Prost, could win this race. So could Ralf Schumacher in the Williams, and never ever forget Michael Schumacher in 5th position, just 1 second behind his brother now, as a very cool, calm and collected, experienced, hard man, Eddie Irvine, who has had to bite his lip and defer to Michael Schumacher ever since he joined for Ferrari, is fighting. And Louis Goodman is with Jacques Villeneuve.
Jacques, that looked like a very scary moment.
No, it wasn't too bad, because I didn't go straight towards the wall, so it was okay.
Disappointing end to the day?
Definitely, because the car was really, really strong, and could definitely catch up the guys in front of me. We could run a little bit quicker than Ralf, so it was looking good for the second half of the race.
Bad luck.
Well, BAR will live to fight a lot more days. They're in their early stages and are showing very well indeed. But retirement so far: Herbert, Alesi, Hill, Jacques Villeneuve that you've just heard from, David Coulthard. Zanardi has spun on the circuit. We haven't seen any pictures, but I can tell you that he has. And there it is. There is the replay of Zanardi going out in the Williams. Now, is there any debris on the track there? Will we have to have the safety car out again? He tries to restart. He was making a passing move on someone, and there is Schumacher. And Schumacher, Michael Schumacher.
Now, something's gone wrong there, because Schumacher's got Barrichello behind him. Maybe Barrichello has departed Diniz somewhere and got rid of him. And Barrichello beginning to give Schumacher a run for his money. So Diniz has gone missing somewhere in the Sauber. Zanardi having a nightmare restart to it. And here we go, look, running wide in 4, whacked the barrier, and then car starts bouncing. No way he can control it there, and that's broken the front suspension badly. Even if he got away, he wouldn't go anywhere. Zanardi definitely out of the race. And
he'd made up
safety car out again, look.
Yeah, I thought that would happen with the debris on the track. Zanardi had passed Olivier Panis. That was what it was all about.
Look, is that Häkkinen keeping running, look? Because there's so many cars dropping out of this race.
Still dodling round.
That's going to be a long, boring afternoon.
To finish first, you've got to finish. He may be thinking that if he finishes, none of the others will.
Well, the way they're flying off the road and breaking down at the moment, he may as well keep going around. But is that safety car actually on the racetrack? I'm trying to pick up on the computer. Yes, safety car. No, we saw that shot of the safety car, but there's nothing to say it's on the track. But I'd be surprised, frankly, if they felt the need to put the safety car on them, because Zanardi was well off the racing line, and although the marshals are hanging SC out now, the safety car is going to go out, but that is off the racing line. I think they really could clear that one away under a double waved yellow. The drivers have got to slow down, but I guess if another car spins in the same place, you've got the very dangerous situation of one car hitting another, and then they start to fly through the air. But I can't really see any firm commitment at the moment to stick some yellow flags out. There's a safety car board out here on the start-finish line, but I don't see any yellow flags around the circuit yet. Have you seen anything, Murray?
No, I would not at all like to be the bloke that nips out and pick that wing up, but Heinz-Harald Frentzen is not taking no for an answer. Look at the way the yellow Jordan with the German at the wheel is closing up on Eddie Irvine's Ferrari, and that is the race leader, Eddie Irvine, that you're looking at now. So
what adds here, Murray, is that the computer system that we've got here in the commentary box has gone down. It's the same thing they have on the pit wall, and I suspect they're struggling to get the message to the teams. So at the moment we've still got this.
There he is now. You'll see.
There he is now. Look, the drivers didn't know. Look, the drivers are absolutely on it, and suddenly they're coming across. Where's the yellow flags? There it is now. That's the first yellow flag I've seen.
That could have been very tricky if Irvine had come barreling round a very fast corner. But look, this really does give Michael Schumacher, who is now in 4th position, a golden opportunity to get up there.
I think Barrichello's gone as well. Barrichello's gone somewhere. Look, let's see if it's a white car that comes into view next behind Michael, but I couldn't see it. I thought it was a blue car of some sort. So Barrichello appears to be out of the race. We've got no computer to tell us where that might have happened or what may have happened, but Schumacher must be wondering what on earth's going on today.
Well, Michael Schumacher, of course, has got Zonta in front of him, who's not on the same lap. So Michael Schumacher is now in 3rd position.
Do you think so? He's 4th, isn't he? No, he's 4th, look. But I think Diniz is now up to 5th, and Barrichello is definitely out of the race, gone out in... Barrichello is in the pit.
Oh, there is Ralf Schumacher.
Barrichello is in the pit, so yeah, Ralf 3rd, Michael 4th, Diniz 5th, and Alexander Wirtz in 6th in the Benetton.
Yeah, followed by Zonta, Takagi, Panis, Trulli, and so on, down to Mika Häkkinen, who is 16th and still circulating, but effectively out of the race.
Yes, I wonder if Villeneuve's wing fell off because somebody had tapped it, or whether it's a structural problem. If it's a structural problem, they really ought to be pulling Zonta in, frankly. I mean, they've said they're going to win this first race. It's all on Zonta's shoulders now for the BAR team. But if it's a structural failure, I think they really ought to bring that car in. But let's take a quick break while they're behind the safety car.
Safety car is out on the track. Eddie Irvine in the lead, Frentzen 2nd, Ralf Schumacher 3rd. Michael Schumacher in the 2nd Ferrari is in 4th place. So both the Ferraris are in the top 4. And Mika Häkkinen comes into the pit lane and there to retire from the Australian Grand Prix, and we certainly didn't expect to see this. Not one McLaren out, both McLarens out. No Constructors' Championship points for the Woking team, no drivers' points for David Coulthard or for Mika Häkkinen. A very sad Australian Grand Prix for McLaren. But I suppose all good things have to come to an end, and they've had a lot of very good things in the last 16, 17 races, including those 2 championships. But there, the Mercedes-Benz safety car leads the Ferrari of Eddie Irvine.
Safety car in at the end of this lap, so Irvine will be getting ready to continue to lead the race. Frentzen will want to harry him all the way through to that last corner. 2 things we got here. Incident involving car 16 under investigation by the stewards. That's Rubens Barrichello. I don't know if it's an incident on the racetrack or whether it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the race, where he changed cars effectively after the race started. But anyway, safety car in at the end of this lap. We've got 14 cars running, and Panis currently in the pits, and we think it's going to be a 57-lap race, all told, with the formation laps. Yes.
Yeah, they had to refuel after. No, they didn't. They had to start with less fuel, so there would be 1 less lap. But the next fastest lap is coming up very shortly. The safety car goes past the powerhouse and into turn 13, the right-hander. Then there's this little short straight, and look how tightly bunched they are, with Michael Schumacher in 4th position now. That Trulli has gone into the pits and refueled in the Prost. He's right at the back of the snake. News from Louise Goodman. Make it quick, Louise.
Yeah, a bit of news on the Stewart. I've just been down to the garage to check whether Rubens was legal to take the restart in the spare car. The team checked with the FIA's Charlie Whiting. He said OK.
Thank you, Louise. And the race restarts. The safety car peels into the pit lane. Eddie Irvine A good restart by Irvine. Frentzen up behind him, Ralf Schumacher, German, second, third and fourth, but it's Michael Schumacher. And Diniz is in fifth position in the Sauber.
Vert's taking fifth into the first corner under braking. Vert's outbraking Diniz. So we have Irvine, Frentzen, Ralf Schumacher, Michael Schumacher, Alessandro Vert. Where's Vert's gone? Maybe he drifted wide, because it looks like Diniz is back in front again. But Vert must have drifted wide, went in too deep, and so status quo is resumed.
Yeah, I tell you what may be the problem with Alexander Vert, and that is that he's been practicing in the car with the new differential braking system at the front. After crashing it heavily yesterday, he's out in the non-diff car. He may not have been completely used to the characteristics, and that is out of the race. Goes number 21, Janae. Oh, and
Panis, isn't it?
Is that Panis or is it Trulli?
Difficult to tell the helmets on those two drivers. We'll have to. We think it's Panis.
Two more. It's Trulli. It's Jarno Trulli, and that's tough. Oh, that's the reason why.
In fact, that's both they're showing Panis is having a retired. Until we can see the front of that car or the driver's helmet, it's impossible to tell on that particular car. But let's have a look.
I think it was Trulli who, if you remember, came into the pits, rejoined at the end, and would be trying to fight his way through the field. Comes up to Janae, who was in 12th position. But never mind, that's of academic interest. Yeah, that's what happened. And they nearly collected whoever it was in front of them. That was Pedro de la Rosa's Arrows in front of them. They nearly collected. And here is the race. Lap 27 now. Eddie Irvine, it's just about half distance now. And Eddie Irvine in the Ferrari leads Frentzen in the George.
Have you noticed Michael Schumacher dropping back again? He really can't stay with this leading three. He's 2.1 seconds behind. And there's a yellow flag for that incident. I think you're absolutely, it's not often you're wrong, Murray, but you're right again. I think that was Trulli getting mixed up, trying to come back through the field. So both Prost out on the same lap. Panis retired on that lap, and Trulli tripping over Marc Gené into the first corner and spinning him out. So both Prosts out of the race. We're down to 12 cars running.
And we've still got half the race to run. I wouldn't be at all surprised if everybody who finishes in this race gets points, which means to say that there would be 6 finishers. Well, there is the answer to your question, Martin. Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari, still in 4th place. You're right, he's not closing up on his brother, and that's not for brotherly love reasons either. They respect each other.
That's a sick Ferrari. No, it's a puncture. Right rear puncture for Michael Schumacher. That's why he was dropping away. You heard it banging. I thought it was the engine gone, but now I can see it's a right rear puncture. Oh, that's going to be a job to get that back to the pitch without tearing the car apart.
Look at his front wing
damage. Has Michael been off the road somewhere? Almost certainly, I'd say, because that right rear puncture can't damage the front wing in any way, of course. So it looks like Michael's had a trip through the grass, and well, if that tyre delaminates any more, it's going to rip the bodywork away. At the moment, he's getting away with it. He doesn't want to go any faster than that. In fact, I'm saying I think he's going too fast. They'll change the nose, 19, 20 seconds. They'll change the tyres at the same time. His only hope is he doesn't rip the side pod apart, and at the moment he's getting away with it.
And here comes Wurz. What an incredible replay of Japan this is. If you remember, Michael Schumacher stalled his engine, as he did here. Then he had a puncture, as he has had here. Not that he will want to know all this historical guff, but he's now dropping back through the field. Diniz is up into 4th place. Barrichello is up into 5th position. Zonta, Ricardo Zonta, in his first Grand Prix in the BAR team, is in the points in 6th position. Tora Takagi in the Arrows is 7th. Luca Badoer in the Minardi.
There goes the tyre.
Let's look at this.
There's the piece coming off, and virtually the highest speed on the racetrack. Schumacher picked it up early, look, and managed to bring the car through. That's Diniz out of the race. Oh no.
Well, we have to expect this. You have been saying, and I have been saying, and everyone has been saying, that reliability is always the problem in the first Grand Prix, and these are all brand new cars.
Schumacher underway. Schumacher did get back to the pits without damaging the car. I'm wondering about the drive shaft. There's a lot of vibration, and that's Diniz pulling out of the race. Turn 3, obviously lost drive or something like that. Engine's still running, but he's lost drive, and Michael Schumacher is back out, albeit last and 12th.
Lovely new shiny Bridgestone boots on his car. Well, he's in a very strong position, actually. He's last again, but he's got Wurz 11th, De La Rosa 10th, Fisichella, Badoer, Takagi. He's got a lot of men that he's going to catch up again. He's strong. He had to come in at some time to change his tyres anyway, so he hasn't lost as much time as he might have done. But meantime, Frentzen, as you can see from that graphic, is giving Eddie Irvine up front a hard time. The gap is down to just about 0.8 of a second, and indeed only about 3 seconds covers the first three. There is the proof. There is Eddie Irvine, followed by Frentzen, followed by Schumacher, as they go round the Marina turn up to the 175-mile-an-hour sweeping left-hander, which seems to go on and on up to turn 12 and down to 165 miles an hour. Irvine leads, Frentzen second, Schumacher, Ralf third, and brother Michael is down at the back of the field.
Yes, we've had a report back. As I suspected, the Sauber of Pedro Diniz has lost drive, a gearbox problem of some sort, and Ralf Schumacher's on a roll now, with Rubens Barrichello also putting in a very good time in the middle section of the track. The fastest so far of anybody is Barrichello, currently in 4th place, although we've still got this message that he's under investigation for some kind of incident. We don't know what that was. We know that it was at 14:54, so some 12-14 minutes ago. Obviously Barrichello did something that upset somebody, but there you see Irvine
crossing. And the Ferrari pit is getting ready to receive, I presume, well, it's got to be Eddie Irvine, because Michael Schumacher has already been in for that new front wing and for that new right rear wheel. And he was very lucky that that right tyre flailing about didn't destroy the bodywork. It has done before on the Ferrari, it did in Japan. But he was lucky there. He's kept going, and Barrichello, as Martin has said, has now gone faster than Mika Häkkinen went. 1:32.8, which is 1.2 seconds slower than Mika Häkkinen's fastest lap last year.
Yes, if that puncture didn't damage any bodywork, I still think it would have given the right rear suspension and drive shaft a pretty hard time on Michael Schumacher's car. But at the moment, it appears to be running okay. What's happening, James?
Well, Ferrari's just about to get ready for Eddie Irvine. They're just priming the fuel pumps. There's a great atmosphere down here, I have to say. I think they're quite pleased, actually, that their second man is in front. That seems to be the feeling I get. Had a good look at Schumacher's floor. The floor in front of the right rear is a little bit damaged. The puncture at the back.
James,
you're looking at a replay, I believe.
We've got Wurz going out. Alexander Wurz on a replay. Sorry, carry on.
Broken right rear suspension for Wurz. Wurz out of the race. James, carry on, sorry.
Sorry, I was just saying the damage to the floor of Schumacher right in front of the right rear, as you'd expect, but not particularly severe. The tyre actually had stayed in its integrity, was pretty good. It wasn't that badly damaged. Over to you.
Irvine goes through to start another lap, so he's not coming. And Barrichello gets a stop-go penalty. 10 seconds. So that's going to destroy his 4th place at the moment. But the way this race is going, he can win it. And what's Ron Dennis got to say, Louise?
Ron, very disappointing day. This wasn't supposed to happen, was it?
It's obviously disappointing. We had a relatively trouble-free practice. I had no indication of any problems whatsoever. You know, we felt confident that we'd done a good job in resolving the issues of reliability in our testing. We, of course, pushed very hard. But we had the race well in control. We were driving well off the pace. As far as we can tell so far, we had a hydraulic failure on David's car and a mechanical failure on the throttle linkage of Mika's car. But I mean, we've got to look to the future. We've made an extremely quick, competitive racing car, and we've got 5 weeks to make it reliable. And given the decision to come with this car or the last year's car, we would have taken the same decision. You know, we needed to know where we were. We needed to know how competitive the car is, and you know, we're looking forward to Brazil already.
Thanks, Ron.
Well, the really galling thing from McLaren's point of view is that there is a 5-week gap between Australia and Brazil, and whilst they've got 5 weeks to improve their car, everybody else has got 5 weeks knowing what the gap between them and McLaren is to improve it, as in comes Barrichello for his 10-second penalty. Now he comes to his own garage. They used to do it at the end of the pit lane, but he comes to his own garage. They'll count him down to 10.
Look at them trying to blow cold air in. Remember, this car overheated on the line, or the other two Stuart Fords overheated on the line. That's a bit of a token gesture, I have to say,
Yeah,
but it's better than doing nothing.
I think they're not allowed to do anything, actually.
Well, they're not touching the car, you see, Murray, but I think that's marginal, that one, blowing air at it, but I don't think it would have done any good anyway. But there's so few cars in this race that are competitive. Barrichello's still okay, and he's got such good speed in that car. If he gets on with it, he can rejoin the fray, although that's cost him something like 30-35 seconds. Stop was 10 seconds, plus negotiating the pit lane, of course.
Where are we? Lap 32. Who's on the track? Eddie Irvine. Just 1.8 seconds ahead of Frentzen second. Ralf Schumacher is third. 3 seconds covers the top three. Takagi in the arrows is fourth. Fisichella is back in the race in the Benetton, fifth. Luca Badoer in the Minardi. Are Minardi going to score a point? It's ages since they did so. Minardi sixth with Luca Badoer. The second arrows of Pedro de la Rosa is in the 7th place. Rubens Barrichello, of course, has dropped to the back of the field, so Zonta is 8th. Michael Schumacher is 9th. Only 10 cars left in this Australian Grand Prix, and the 10th one is Rubens Barrichello, and we have still got 27 grueling, demanding, hot laps to go, including pit stops, and that's going to take the toll.
Two fastest men on the circuit at the moment. Ralf Schumacher in third, putting a squeeze on the two leaders. The gap now down to 1.8 seconds to Frentzen, and the fastest man on the track, again, now he's rejoined Rubens Barrichello, who did rejoin in 8th place with De La Rosa, Badoer and Takagi in front of him. Takagi pits from 4th. There he is now, you see him. That looks like a scheduled pit stop for Takagi. New set of boots, a little slurp of fuel, and you can see his left rear is ready. The guys have got their arms up in the air. Yes, they're all ready. Go for it. And out of the pits, don't forget the speed limiter. And that'll cut in at 120 k's, and then hit the button on the white line, rejoin the race, but look in your mirror, because cars tend to be screaming into that first corner behind you, and you're all aiming for the same spot. New yellow line there. You're not allowed to cross that yellow line this year now, otherwise you get a penalty of some sort. Takagi back on the racetrack, out in 7th place.
On lap 33, let's commiserate with the retirements. Poor Johnny Herbert, who always seems to have bad luck and no good luck, didn't even get to take the restart after his burnt Stewart had let him down. Sean Alesi, of course, a fancied man to do well for the points. Damon Hill with that problem of his. Jacques Villeneuve, broken wing, lucky not to be hurt. David Coulthard into the pits with a hydraulic problem. Zanardi spun off and hit the wall. Mika Häkkinen, broken throttle linkage. McLaren have had that trouble before. Olivier Panis off the track, and Jarno Trulli. Marc Genet similarly spins off in the Minardi. Pedro Diniz went off, and Alexander Wurz has done the same. So you can see that these 4 groove tyres, and this is Michael Schumacher. Ralf Schumacher, sorry.
That's Ralf, yeah.
Schumacher,
and I'm just looking, Barrichello lost a half a minute in the end of his last lap, so Barrichello either went off or he's got some kind of problem.
There's just 2 people in this race effectively at the moment. Eddie Irvine, I'm talking about a win. Eddie Irvine on lap 34 is 1.4 seconds ahead of the charging determined, first time in a Jordan in a race, Heinz Harald Frentzen, the man who won the San Marino Grand Prix for Williams a year before last, and didn't do anything terribly impressive subsequently. But his luck has changed. He was dropped by Williams at the end of last year, was taken on by Jordan. He's a very sensitive bloke, and the atmosphere at Jordan seems to suit him very well indeed. He's responding absolutely superbly. He's given the leader a hard time most of the way through the race, and the leader now, of course, is Eddie Irvine. But the 2 Ferraris are still in the race. There's only 1 Jordan left in the race. There's only 1 Benetton left in the race. There's only 1 Williams.
Irvine in the pits. Irvine for what I would imagine is a scheduled stop. They've got some tyres ready for him. Frentzen following Jordan, reacting to the Ferrari pit stop. Now we're going to see who can turn these cars around the fastest. Obviously, Ferrari have got a head start. Irvine stops well on his marks. And there's the Jordan. They've got to get that fuel in quickly. The fuel flow will be exactly the same for the 2 rigs. Irvine's got the revs on ready, drops the clutch, away he goes, and he maintains position. In fact, the 2 pit stops are virtually identical, and off they go. And who's this coming along?
Fisichella coming through.
Fisichella takes the lead. Does he get into the corner? No, he doesn't. Fisichella stays second, and Irvine maintains the lead. Of course, Fisichella I think it may have been Fisichella that stopped earlier on in the race under one of those yellows. Fisichella's going to have a go up the inside. Eddie's on cold brakes, and Fisichella wisely braking very early. He wasn't going to make that. So here's a good 1, 2, 3. What an amazing race.
Fisichella has not yet made his official tyre stop, of course. So although he's second in this race, he's going to lose time and track position. But meantime, he's certainly pushing Eddie Irvine.
Yes, you're right, Murray. Fisichella hasn't stopped. It was Wirtz that stopped earlier on during one of those yellows. So Fisichella, it's a bit of a false position he's in, because he does have to come in and get some fuel fuel at some point. Remember, these two had a big fight into turn 1 in Barcelona last year and ended up falling off the road.
Fisichella gets out of the car and goes up to Eddie Irvine and says, "What do you think you're doing?" And Eddie just stolidly walked on, kept his helmet on very wisely. A blow to the head with a helmet on doesn't hurt nearly as much as a blow to the head without one. He didn't get one, in fairness to Fisichella.
You have to say, Eddie had pretty much the same attitude turning into turn 3 there. He really didn't give any quarter to Fisichella. And thankfully, Fisichella had the anchors on and was ready to stop.
Yeah, Eddie Irvine can see for the first time a win for Ferrari. He's had a lot of compliments in Italy, he's had taken an awful lot of stick in Italy, but he stolidly accepted his position of number 2 to Schumacher.
If you're wondering where Michael Schumacher is, he's down in 10th place, lapping fastest man on the track. But got an awful long way to...
Well,
he's over a minute behind. Michael Schumacher over a minute behind Eddie Irvine. And with people pushing Irvine, Ferrari not about to move him out of the way to give Schumi some points for the first time probably ever in Irvine's Ferrari career.
Definitely the first time. And Schumacher is 11 seconds behind Badoer, gaining hand over fist, of course. But then he's got to get past Barrichello, who's in 8th position, notwithstanding his 10-second stop. He's got to get past Zonta, Takagi, De La Rosa, Schumacher. But Arrows must be absolutely delighted, because Takagi is in that 6th position in the Black Arrows, and that's a World Championship point for them. Now we're looking into the Ferrari garage.
Yeah, Irvine seems to be able to maintain his pace. Of course, he's carrying quite a lot more fuel than Fisichella, having just made that pit stop. And as we know here, the fresh tyres are not giving you much an advantage. So Eddie Irvine putting on a pretty good pace, I would say.
Yeah, Arrows must be absolutely overjoyed and keeping their fingers crossed at the moment, because not only is Takagi in 6th place, but De La Rosa in his first Grand Prix in the Arrows is in 5th position, so they're on a potential 3 points. The last time they did that was at Monaco last year.
Yeah, so Ron Dennis and McLaren saying they're pleased they bought their new car, and I can understand that. They needed to know where they were, otherwise they'd be playing catch-up the whole season. But of course, the Arrows, I would say, are largely unchanged from last year, and that could well be why they're showing better reliability as a team than anybody else.
Yeah, the tub is largely unchanged. There's big changes to the engine and a lot of other things, but I think there's more 98 car in the Arrows. But look at this, Fisichella, let's remind you that although Fisichella is second, he has yet to make a pit stop.
Yes, and Frentzen falling away a bit. Clearly Irvine's car's better with the fuel load than Frentzen's. Frentzen in the late 35s, Irvine in the late 1 minute 34s, and Michael Schumacher still in the low 1 minute 34s.
21 laps remaining. That confirms that it is a 57 lap race that they're on now. And the Benetton pit crew are out. They're getting out. They've got to come out from they're not allowed to come out from the garage into the pit lane until the lap that their driver is coming in, and their sole driver on the track is Fisichella. So we're going to see this harrying of Eddie Irvine cease very shortly when Fisichella pulls off into the pit lane and comes in for a new set of Bridgestone boots.
There's a lot of fun sweepstakes in the Formula One paddock amongst various teams and people involved with the whole circus. I have a feeling most of the money is going to be left in it this week and carried forward to Brazil, because I doubt anybody had on their list what we've currently got: Irvine, Fisichella, Frentzen.
Never mind Ralf Schumacher, De La Rosa and Takagi, 4th, 5th and 6th. Zonta could score points, and here's the proof, here's the confirmation. I don't know whether James Allen is in the pit, but we'll keep talking, because Fisichella is coming in the Benetton with the breath. So James is not there, so let's keep going. Fisichella The fastest pit stop we've had so far was just over 6 seconds earlier in the race. Fisichella rejoins. That means Ralf Schumacher is up into 3rd position again. De La Rosa is 4th. Fisichella rejoins in 5th position. Can he stay ahead of Tora Takagi in the 2nd arrows? Out onto the pit lane comes the Benetton, rejoins the track. And yes, Giancarlo Fisichella from Italy in the Benetton, where you can see the braking system, see that 2nd row of shafts underneath the top wishbone of the suspension. He's got the new braking system on the Benetton, and he is in 5th position. And James Allen has some Ferrari news.
Yeah, I wasn't at Benetton, I was down at Ferrari examining the tyres that just came off Irvine's car, and I have to say that they look absolutely fantastic. Been performing very well. Schumacher's in.
Schumacher's coming in, James.
The Ferrari team aren't ready for him. I'm
he's
standing
very
here.
slow. He's
None of them are expecting this at all. Huge scramble down here in the garage. They're very surprised by this. He's obviously not radioed to tell them he's coming in.
He's gone
straight through.
Yeah, he knew they weren't ready, so sooner than waste time with them coming out with tyres, wheels, whatever, he's going to do another lap. But Michael Schumacher's last lap was a much slower one than he's had. It looks as though the double world champion may not be scoring world championship points after all. What a torrid race he's had. Stalls his engine, starts from the back, catches up on the pace car, then he has a puncture, comes in.
I think he's got a clutch problem. Did you hear the engine just rev now? Maybe it's just dropping out of gear or whatever, but there was all of a sudden a big rev from Michael Schumacher's car as he was in the middle of turn 3 and 4, and I wonder if he's got some kind
of... He's picking up speed now.
I wonder if he's got a drive shaft problem from that earlier puncture, but there was... Seemed to be accelerating okay there, but there was definitely a big rev of the engine as Michael was between corners, suggesting he momentarily lost drive.
And we've got 19 laps left to go to lap 57 in this quite incredible Australian Grand Prix with Eddie Irvine now for...
Look, he's come in the pit lane very, very late. He wasn't expecting to come in the pit lane on that lap, but clearly some kind of drama coming out of turn 15. Now he's up to speed again.
No, that was a
James,
replay.
what's happening down there, James?
That was a replay of him coming into the pit lane.
Martin, I can tell you exactly what it is. He's got some problem with the steering wheel. He's reporting in that the buttons aren't working. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. He came in to do something about it, and it seemed to clear itself. Now he's not so sure.
Look,
and
James, we can see...
He's coming in again now. I think they're going to have a quick look. Check out for the steering wheel when he comes in this time.
We can see there's a mechanic standing there. You may say, why on earth are they putting a new steering wheel on? The answer is that all the electrical and most of the other controls are operated from the steering wheel, and it'll probably have an absolutely magical effect. They'll put a new steering wheel on. If the contacts are all right, provided Michael Schumacher gets up to the pit lane, he's going very, very slowly indeed. Is he going to be able to coast down to the pit? That's the question at the present moment.
I still think he had a transmission problem. It's either the steering wheel put it into a false neutral, or he's got some kind of transmission problem.
Yeah, look at the bodywork at the back.
I don't think that would be affecting too much, Murray, but let's see what they do. They're changing the wheel anyway, but they automatically change the tyres. That's a given on any pit stop, and they did. So the steering wheel, clearly the flippers are not working.
Very lucky
and it put
man.
it, so that big rev I heard on the previous lap was the button's not working properly. Threw it into a neutral, and now he's got some drive.
Back on song.
Louise, what's happening?
I'm standing here with Mika Häkkinen. Mika, Ron Dennis said to us a moment ago that he thought it was the right decision to come with a new car. Given the problems you've had, do you agree with that?
Right decision. Yes.
You've had...
Yes, it is, and definitely. I mean, if you're looking at the situation, I didn't finish, David didn't finish. It doesn't look too good, but I'm still smiling, and I cannot help that because we had a fantastic weekend so far. The car has been really, really good. I mean, really fast, and it's been, mega just to race with that car. It's been really good. The team motivation is high. We all work together very closely. This disappointment is not going to put us down a little bit, I tell you. I just feel a little bit bad for the mechanics, designers, engineers, what the hard work they have done during the winter and early this year, and we failed in the first Grand Prix. But nevertheless, we're going to do it next one.
Michael Schumacher's having problems. Is that helping to put the smile on your face?
Well, no, but I suppose, you know, he qualified third, and I would say no. Well, I haven't had a chance of time to look what's happening in the race. Actually, I'm talking to you guys all the time.
Thanks, Mika.
Good old Mika. what a wonderful, loyal driver he is as the Arrows comes into the pit lane. I'm quite sure if his McLaren blew up asunder all around him, he'd still say it was a wonderful car.
This is
De La Rosa in from 5th.
No, De La Rosa, he came in 4th place, actually. He's dropped to 5th because Fisichella's gone through, but this young man in his first ever Grand Prix is driving a fantastic race. His pace is just a few tenths of a second off the leaders, and De La Rosa rejoins in 5th place with new tyres, fresh tyres, and his fuel. So what a superb drive from him.
Yeah, well, let's just take a deep breath in this quite incredible race and remind ourselves what's happening on the circuit and what has happened at the lead up to it. Eddie Irvine is leading Frentzen fairly comfortably.
Look at Barrichello coming back through the field. Sorry, Mary, to interrupt. Barrichello coming back through the field, takes Takagi. Barrichello up into the points.
Amazing. Well, so that means that Eddie Irvine leading Frentzen by 5 seconds. Ralf Schumacher just 1 second in the Williams behind Frentzen. Fisichella 4th after his stop. De La Rosa, a marvellous drive, as Martin was saying, his first Grand Prix. He's had a lot of championship success in other formulae before he got here, but he couldn't possibly have forecast that this was going to happen. And his teammate, Tora Takagi, in 6th position. Rubens Barrichello there, after a race nearly as exciting as Michael Schumacher has had, because I remind you that Barrichello started from the pit lane in the spare car after his first one nearly burst into flames, and Barrichello is in 6th position now in the points ahead of Tora Takagi. Zonta is in 8th position. That's something we couldn't have expected in the BAR first race. Michael Schumacher he's not staggering anymore, in and out of the pits like a yo-yo for various reasons. Now in 10th place in the last runner. Now the others, Wurz has gone out and Diniz was run off the track. Most of these retirements are due to people going off, like Marc Genet, Jarno Trulli, Olivier Panis. Mika Häkkinen, on the other hand, retired with a broken throttle. Zanardi went into the wall good and hard, but he's perfectly all right. David Coulthard had a hydraulics problem. Jacques Villeneuve had a wing brake and spun off the track. He's perfectly okay. Damon Hill retired very early indeed after being hit by Trulli. Alesi is out and Johnny Herbert never even started.
Well, Barrichello giving 5th place man De La Rosa a bit of a hurry up, and I'm sure Barrichello's car is significantly faster, and I'd be expecting him to ease up into a braking area any time in the next lap, couple of laps at the most. Barrichello definitely on a charge.
You're seeing 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th almost together in the same picture. There's De La Rosa in the Arrows. Behind him is Barrichello. Then in the orange fronted Arrows in the background with the green helmet, it's Tora Takagi, 7th place. Tight up behind him, Riccardo Zonta in the BAR. Only 2 others behind them, Luca Badoer in the Minardi, Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari. He won't be behind, but he's a lap behind. Michael's got an enormous amount to do.
Watch
as Barrichello challenges.
It's not the right place to do it, and Rubens knows that well. There's just not enough space on the way in there. I think if he just bides his time, gets a clean run out of turn 15 and just keeps his nose as close as he can under the rear wing of that Arrows onto the pit straight, he'll have him into turn 1. A lot of understeer there. Look at Rubens struggling to stay behind that car, and now I think he's marginally, he's too far behind. Couldn't do it. Too much understeer in the turbulent air, and now he's going to have a big stab up the inside, but he's a long way behind.
And Zonta having a go at Takagi in the background. Zonta in the BAR with the yellow stripe in his helmet. This incredible dual liveried car. One design on one side of the car, another design on the other side of the car, for a long-winded reason I can't give you now. And Zonta having a look at Takagi. Takagi's driven in 16 Grand Prix last year.
Barrichello's through. Barrichello through into 5th place. Took it from De La Rosa under braking for turn 3, as we expected. And now, De La Rosa very wide there in 4th. There's Barrichello ahead, and the 2 Arrows running line astern.
And De La Rosa's lost a lot of momentum and line there. Takagi closed up on him quite significantly. And Rubens Barrichello fairly streaking away. This is the man in the Stewart who's made the fastest lap of the race so far. And that was on lap 29, 1 minute 32.9 in round figures, in comparison with Mika Häkkinen's fastest lap last year, 1 minute 31.6. So just 1.3 seconds off last year's fastest lap. Quite a long way off the record lap, which was put up by Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Williams in 1997, 1 minute 30.6. at a time when they had slick tyres and not groove tyres, at a time when the cars were aerodynamically more efficient than they are now. But Rubens Barrichello sees a clear track ahead of him. He's on his 44th lap now, and that is the Minardi going out of Luca Badoer. So there's now only 9 cars left in the race. This helps Michael Schumacher a bit, of course. It moves him up. You see, Michael Schumacher may well end up in the points in this race by the fact that other cars in front of him have dropped out.
Did you see that car beached on that concrete lip? Yeah. And that'll take some push. They've got to push the car the whole length of its floor pan to get it off of there. I don't know what kind of tricky position it's in there. That'll be interesting to see how the marshals remove that particular car.
Well, Eddie Irvine has had 3 second places and 11 third places in his career. He may be on his way to a win. We'll see, but soon. But now we go for a break. Lap 46 out of 57 in this shortened race by 1 lap due to the aborted start originally. And you're looking at Ralf Schumacher, Michael's brother, first drive for Williams, 3rd place. Ahead of him is Heinz-Harald Frentzen, about 5 seconds ahead of him. And Heinz-Harald Frentzen in 2nd place is about 5 seconds behind Eddie Irvine. 10 seconds then covering the first 3. A big gap now to Fisichella as you look at Tora Takagi going off in the arrows, exactly where he went off yesterday. Takagi has lost his 6th place, first of all to De La Rosa and then to Zonta. Zonta has got past. So Irvine leads, Frentzen 2nd, Schumacher 3rd, Fisichella 4th. Barrichello is in 5th position, despite having had to have a 10-second penalty stop. De La Rosa in the arrows. His first Grand Prix is in the points. Ricardo Zonta in the BAR. His first Grand Prix is in 7th place. Tora Takagi is 8th. Michael Schumacher is 9th. Luca Badoer has now retired in the Minardi after going off. And Michael Schumacher, therefore, is not only 9th, but last, but very much the fastest man on the circuit. Indeed, he's just put up a fastest lap. 1 minute 32.6, faster than that of Rubens Barrichello, and getting close to Mika Häkkinen's fastest lap last year. And he is a long, long way behind everybody, but he must be banking on reliability from the Ferrari and reliability from the others. Martin, it looks to me as though the Williams, the Arrows, the Ferrari of Irvine, Fisichella's Benetton and Barrichello's Stewart are likely to go the distance.
Well, who knows? We've seen them dropping like flies, although if they've got this far, they tend to wander along till somewhere near the end, and so many cars do break down very close to the end of a race for whatever reason. But Fisichella and Barrichello quite a long way behind in 4th and 5th. But I think more importantly, Irvine seems to have the measure of Heinz-Harald Frentzen if the car stays reliable. I don't think Frentzen can do anything about Irvine, and he's not really putting Irvine under pressure. I'm almost scared to say it, but I think Eddie is looking very much at his first win, and a great drive it will have been too. And of course he'll also be leading the World Championship if he wins this race.
Of course he will. Yeah, first race, 10 points, leads the World Championship. Now Michael Schumacher is really flying. He's obviously decided he's got absolutely nothing to lose, and if he goes like stink and catches people, he might just get that 1 point for Ferrari or even more. And I'm wondering what's happening to Zonta. Zonta seems to be out of the race. He was in 8th position in the BAR. I haven't seen him recently.
Well, he's just about to be lapped, I think, isn't he, by that's Zonta's two-tone BAR coming in there. So I think he pitted, and he's about to be lapped by race leader Eddie Irvine.
And if that's the case, that it is Zonta, yeah, and he is in 8th position. And Michael Schumacher has taken 25 seconds out of Zonta's lead over him. That's the battle for 8th and 9th positions. But as I say, Michael's on a charge. Here's the proof. Look at this. This is a replay. Michael running very wide and sensibly just easing it round.
Yes, he spun there. Turn 3 spun there in practice, but managed to keep the back end under control this time. And and collected it all up. He's really charging for no good reason unless other cars stop, because he's too far behind to collect a point now on sheer speed.
Get over! It's Eddie Irvine gesticulating at Zonta. Move over. Zonta's holding him up, and Eddie Irvine is seeing his lead over Heinz-Harald Frentzen decrease. Now it was 6.5 seconds, it's 5.7 seconds now. Eddie Irvine is not catching and he's caught Zonta, he's not getting past him, but he's getting a bit agitated about it, understandably.
Yes, new territory really for Eddie in many ways. It's coming towards the end of a race in the lead, lapping the back markers, and there's really, as I say, is a new experience for him.
Meantime, Heinz-Harald Frentzen will know the score because the radio from the pits will be telling him. And Eddie Irvine really does need to get past Ricardo Zonta as the gap between himself and Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is second, comes down, and therefore the gap between himself and Ralf Schumacher in the Williams, who is third, comes down. Now they're on lap 49. Now let's see what Irvine does on this sector of the course.
There's the blue flags waving, so Zonta, but he's a new boy, does he know all these rules properly? Has he read them? Because blue flags waving, Zonta now should lift out of it, otherwise they'll be bringing him in for a stop and go. Because Irvine's struggling to really close in on him, isn't he? Other than under braking, I think Eddie's getting, Eddie getting really deep into the corner there, and Zonta, obviously Eddie understeering in the dirty air of Zonta. There's another wave blue.
If he gets 3 blue flags,
but that's all well and good, but it's not helping Irvine at this time.
There's Frentzen in the background, you see.
Frentzen's going to have 2 or 3 tenths out of him on this lap, and Irvine's still in no place, no position to have a go at Zonta's car. Zonta, maybe he doesn't know the rules.
Yeah, the thing that impresses me and worries me a bit from Ferrari and Eddie's point of view is that Zonta has the Supertech engine and the Ferrari should be blowing it away.
Yes, well, Frentzen took a second out of Irvine in the end. The last section there when Eddie was right up behind Zonta. Here's Zonta now, and that was his perfect opportunity to get out of the way. Now do it now and just let Irvine through. This is sheer silliness on Zonta's part, immaturity, and really Eddie is going to be every right to be very angry about this when he gets out of the car, because he's lost another 4 tenths already on this lap. So Frentzen now beginning to home in on him, and that's going to put Irvine under pressure.
There's another blue.
Here's yet another one. So Zonta already in trouble, but as I said, that does nothing for Irvine.
No, but BAR are in enough trouble already. They're appearing before the headmaster in the form of the FIA on the 12th. Did I see a puff of smoke from the back of Zonta's car there?
Yes, you did.
Yes,
but,
I did.
I wonder if Zonta thinks that's Schumacher behind him, because Schumacher's behind him in the race. Now he lifts off.
This is it. Eddie Irvine goes
I think it's probably his engine's
and he's
gone.
blown up. He's blown the Supertech up.
But Schumacher's behind Zonta in the race. Zonta 8th, Schumacher 9th, and I wondered if Zonta thought it was Schumacher behind him, but
very likely.
That's 26 seconds behind. So Irvine there, a lot of damage done, and he's going to be something like 3.8, 4 seconds in the lead at the end of this lap.
And now there are 8. Michael Schumacher is up into 8th position, 2 positions off a World Championship point. And the gap between Frentzen and Irvine, there it is visually, because that is Heinz-Harald in the background and Ralf Schumacher just behind him. The gap comes down to just over 4 seconds, with Ralf Schumacher still 10 seconds behind the race leader, Eddie Irvine, that you're looking at. We're on lap 51 now, 57 lap race.
Actually, Frentzen made a mistake on the very end of that last lap, and Irvine got away with it. He actually ended up a 10 faster on the last lap, so that helped Eddie tremendously, because Frentzen clearly outbraked himself somewhere.
Yeah, Michael Schumacher must be praying for 2 more retirements, because he's got Takagi in the arrows, 7th ahead of him, but 45 seconds ahead of him, so even Michael Schumacher, I don't think in the time that's left, could catch the arrows. And he's got De La Rosa in 6th position, another 12 seconds ahead of him. So Schumacher needs a couple of retirements to score a point. But at the moment, on lap 51, out of 57, you're looking at Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is 5 seconds behind Eddie Irvine's Ferrari. Irvine looking as though he really is about to win his first ever Grand Prix. And Ralf Schumacher is 3rd in the Williams, Fisichella is 4th in the Benetton, Barrichello is 5th in the Stewart, De La Rosa is 6th in the Arrows, so that's 6 different constructors in the top 6 places. Only 2 cars in the top 7 are the same constructor, and that's Arrows, because Takagi is in 7th place, and Michael Schumacher in the 7th Ferrari, flying as he is, looks as though he's going to finish 8th.
Yeah, Irvine's got Frentzen back under control again, so a little drama. Lapping Zonta is really getting re-established and trying to get the lead back over 5 seconds again. So Frentzen still nowhere near enough to put Irvine under any kind of pressure to make him miss a braking point, hit the throttle a touch too early or whatever. And Irvine looking comfortable in the lead.
I don't think Jordan are going to be too unhappy, particularly with Damon Hill having gone out so early. They will have got 6 Constructors' Championship points in their first race, and if you remember what a terrible half year they had at the beginning of 1998, this is a dramatically improved start situation for them. So Ferrari on 10 points, Jordan on 6 points,
That's
Williams...
Sorry, Mary.
Williams on 4, Benetton on 3, Stewart on 2, that would be good for them, and Arrows on 1 World Championship point. They could not have expected to get that.
Yes, they pick up now on the third place man, Ralf Schumacher, who's having a bit of a push, 4.7 seconds behind Frentzen. I don't know why he's left it so late if he's got more speed in the car, but Ralf having an extra bit of hard work in there trying to get on terms, but a lot of work to do in a very few number of laps.
And we're looking at Ralf Schumacher now in his 34th Grand Prix, the other 33 having been with the Jordan team, very much in the shadow of his brother, but in the past, interestingly enough, in a situation where we've had brothers in Formula One, it's always been the younger brother who has been the better, like the Rodriguez brothers, for instance. But I don't think Michael is too worried about being caught and passed on World Championship points and success by Ralf. Lap 53 now. Eddie Irvine basically has to keep it going. Frentzen has got the real battle in this race at the moment, as Martin has pointed out, is what you're looking at now, because Ralf Schumacher is really charging for that third position. Indeed, he's got the gap down now to under 4 seconds to Heinz-Harald Frentzen in front of him. Soon he will see the yellow Jordan, and of course that is a tremendous spur. There it is! Now that is the visual gap between Frentzen second, Schumacher third, as Eddie Irvine comes through very shortly to start his 53rd lap.
Yes, I wonder why Ralph's left it so late to put this kind of charge on. I think Frank Williams may well be asking him that question at the end, because clearly the car has got some good pace, and he's going to be another 4-5. He's 4-5 tenths up already on this lap, plus he tends to be quicker towards the end, so Ralf still has some time to get on terms and give Frentzen a hurry up right at the end.
Correction, it's the 54th lap, so Eddie Irvine will only have 3 laps to do at the end of this one when he goes through. So here is Frentzen, and look, you can see now the gap was 4.8, I remind, 3.8, 3.3 it is now. Schumacher is on it, Ralf Schumacher is on it, as Irvine is on his 54th lap. 3 laps to go at the end of this one. And if Irvine wins this race, I'm being very careful with my reputation. I'm being very careful not to say that he's going to win the Australian Grand Prix. My goodness, he certainly could do, and it would be fabulous for him, fabulous for Maranello, who came here on a high after testing, thinking they were going to be matching McLaren, were really down in the dumps yesterday when Michael Schumacher only qualified 3rd, despite an absolutely mammoth effort out on the track. And now it looks as though Ferrari are going to come home with 10 points, 10 ahead of McLaren. None at all for the Woking team after those unexpected retirements of not only Mika Häkkinen but David Coulthard as well. And there is Eddie Irvine. Now, he comes from Conleague originally, lives in Dublin, does Eddie. I've told you about the number of podiums he's had, and he's had a very hard apprenticeship. He won the Formula Ford Festival many years ago, then he went through the usual channels of Formula 3, Formula 3000 in Europe and in Japan. He won 4 of them. He was second at Le Mans, incidentally, for Toyota as long ago as 1994. He was with the Jordan team for 3 years and left because he said he didn't think they were ever going to go anywhere. He's a very outspoken man, is Eddie Jordan. Well, he was wrong about Jordan, but he was right from his point of view to drive for Ferrari, because although he's always accepted the second place to Michael Schumacher, he has also said it's better to be number 2 for Ferrari than number 1 for anyone else. So just 2 laps to go at the end of this one for Eddie Irvine. I'm sure his father and mother, who follow him all round the European circuits, will be watching now with their fingers crossed, and rightly so, because Grand Prix have been lost much closer to the finish flag than 2 laps to go. You've driven against Eddie.
Yeah, he's a tough player. As you said, he tends to say what he thinks, and sometimes you wonder if he's really concentrating enough, and he's a pretty cavalier guy, but that means he's got just the right mentality to put up with the pressure he's had all afternoon, and really seems totally under control, doesn't he? I mean, this is going to be a very popular win inside Formula One without any doubt.
Absolutely. And it's lovely to see, with due respect to all the others, to Williams, to Ferrari, to McLaren, it's lovely to see a new winner in Formula One. If you look back over 1999, for instance, it was Häkkinen, Coulthard, Schumacher, and in previous years 1 or 2 drivers have dominated, as did Senna and Prost. So now Ralf Schumacher crosses the line behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and it looks to me as though Frentzen has not only responded, but he's actually closed a little on Eddie Irvine, who has got 1 lap to go after this one. This is lap 56. Michael Schumacher is still charging. He's just done a fastest sector of the circuit, but he's still 32 seconds behind Takagi. And while you watch Irvine leading in the Ferrari, leading for Maranello to put Ferrari at the head of the constructors' table, himself at the end of the drivers' table, if he finishes this race. As you see, the Ferrari flags are already waving in Australia. He is an enormously popular man. Ferrari, of course, is popular the world over. And it's Irvine, Frentzen, Schumacher, Ralf, Fisichella 4th, Barrichello 5th, De La Rosa still a magnificent 6th for Arrows in his first Grand Prix from Spain. He'll be the hero of Spain. Takagi is still 7th in the Arrows. Michael Schumacher is the last runner, 8th place for Ferrari. And there is the comparison of the lap times. You see that it's been first one and then the other, as Eddie Irvine from Conlig comes up to start his last lap in Australia. And you can see that Heinz-Harald Frentzen is throwing caution to the winds. He's really going for it. But even if he catches Irvine, it's going to be mighty difficult for him to get past.
Yes, I think Eddie's pacing himself to the end now. He knows he's got enough cushion there. Meanwhile, Michael Schumacher about to do a new fastest lap of this race. Yes, it is a 32.1 for Schumi. Means absolutely nothing. He's not going to get a point out of a hard afternoon's work. But his teammate Eddie Irvine is going to get everything. There'll be so many drivers on the plane tonight or back in the hotel room thinking, I could have won it, I could have been on the podium, I could have done all sorts of things. But it's going to be Eddie Irvine that managed to go through all of the carnage and all of the reliability problems. He's kept it on the road, and then Frentzen and Ralf putting in on a good show behind him. But you've always sensed that Eddie Irvine, the man you're looking at now, has had them under control as soon as the McLarens disappeared.
Yeah, and the crowd loves it. You saw that mass serried rank of Ferrari flags waving enthusiastically here in Australia. Melbourne is indeed a great place for a race, and it's been a great, memorable race, full of incredible memories from Ferrari, from McLaren, from the rest, but particularly as Frentzen eases up on a cool, in-charge Eddie Irvine, particularly for the
Very
Irishman.
cool, Eddie. It looks a touch too cool for my liking.
He's down to the last corner. It's going to be mighty, mighty close, but Eddie Irvine in the Ferrari just wins the Australian
Keep going, Eddie, the lights there. That's it. Well done.
Fabulous. Eddie Irvine, look at Ferrari. Nigel Stepney, the chief mechanic there, is overjoyed. Of course they are. Ralf Schumacher. And I was wrong about Eddie. Up goes the visor. Out comes the fist. Oh, well done, Eddie Irvine. Yes, you've done it. And what is more, Eddie... Oh, yeah, he's giving it a wheelie just to prove that there's plenty left in the car and him. And Eddie Irvine has done it of his own volition and by right. He beat Michael Schumacher. as Eddie, and Michael Schumacher comes up alongside him. The two Ferraris are going to finish in line astern, and Michael Schumacher was in 8th position. Eddie Irvine won, Frentzen second, Schumacher third. But what a wonderful picture this is. The world champion twice over, Michael Schumacher, looks across at his colleague, his teammate Eddie Irvine, grins at him, waves his hand and accelerates away, as Heinz-Harald Frentzen deferentially stays behind the Ferrari, as he should. Eddie Irvine won the race, and Ralf Schumacher closes up. Well, 6 different constructors in the top 6 places. They've got 5 weeks to go now before Brazil to get everything done, and confirmation of the fact that Ferrari, with an overjoyed Eddie Irvine at the wheel, have won the first Grand Prix of 1999 at Melbourne, Australia, in dramatic and wonderful style, beating Heinz-Harald Frentzen second, Ralf Schumacher third in the Williams, Fisichella fourth in the Benetton, and Rubens Barrichello snatching an enormous benefit right at the end of the race, which started so badly. 5th position for Stewart, 2 points. Arrows will be delighted. 6th and a point for De La Rosa, and 7th for Tora Takagi. Michael Schumacher finished 8th. Both Ferraris eventually finished. Everybody else in the 22 starters retired. And that means, of course, that Ferrari lead the Constructors' Championship by 10 very handy points. And remember what I said earlier on, Ferrari, after last year, wanted to and needed to get points on the board. Well, they've got 10 more than McLaren, who haven't got any. Jordan are second with 6 points. Williams are third with 4. Benetton are fourth with 3. Stewart are fifth with 2. And Arrows are sixth with 1.
I've got a lump in my throat. I'm so happy for Eddie Irvine. His sister Sonia does all of his physio and some of his management. It's a real family effort, and there'll be some singing in Ireland tonight without any shadow of a doubt.
Well, I said that Eddie would be very cool and laconic. He will be, I'm sure, in the media centre when he gets off the podium and goes through to talk to the press. But look at him. Motorcyclists do a wheelie. They get the front wheel off the ground in sheer exuberance. Eddie's trying to do a wheelie. His problem is he's got 4 wheels on the car. But he's showing a lot of Irish style and fun right to the end of the Australian Grand Prix. What a wonderful way to start the 1999 Formula One World Championship season. And if the rest of them are as good as this, we've got a lot of excitement and drama still to come.
Look at the Ferrari flags, Murray, down here. There's been a track invasion down here on the start-finish line, and a tremendous sea of red flags. You're just coming into your view now.
Yeah, an enormous Italian community, Ligon Street, which has got an enormous number. Give it to me, says Eddie to the Ferrari mechanics, and they do it. And down there is Ross Brawn, the man who, with Rory Byrne, was responsible for designing this car. Ross, give us your reactions.
He's been on the verge so often, and once or twice we've had to take it away from him in the interest of the championship. So for him to be able to do that today was just fantastic.
Ross, we know you were working for reliability. There's Sonia. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That's Sonia, Eddie's sister, hugging him, and rightly so. Ross, we knew you were working for reliability. You must feel vindicated now.
Yeah, I didn't quite hear you, Murray. I think you were talking about reliability.
Yeah.
Obviously, we were pleased with Eddie's car. We had too many problems with Michael's car. We had a gearbox problem on the grid, which meant we had to start at the back. And then the gearbox problem reoccurred during the race. We think it was something wrong with the steering wheel, which is why we changed it. And it seemed to come right after that.
Well, Ross, let's not beat about the bush. McLaren beat you in qualifying. You've got 5 weeks to catch them up. Have you got any problems there?
No, it's going to be a very busy 5 weeks, because in reality we weren't competitive with them today, and we need to resolve that. But I hope we can do the job we did last year.
What can you do, Ross? What can you do in those 5 weeks? What's available to you?
Well, obviously not tyres this year, but there's some aerodynamic things we've been working on which weren't quite ready for the start. And I think we have to understand how we use these tyres a bit more, because obviously you saw in qualifying yesterday, McLaren used the same set for the whole of qualifying, and that's unique. So we're going to have to understand how to use these tyres properly.
Well, great start for Ferrari, though. It's better than you did hope for, I'd imagine, because it's not been the easiest of weekends, has it?
No, it's been a bit tough, but beginning of the season is always difficult. Yeah, it's come right at the end.
You're going to enjoy all those red flags waving on the start-finish line, Ross. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Yeah. Thanks, Ross, and congratulations. Well done indeed. So there you go, look at that. This is a typical Australian scene. It's traditional now for the crowd to invade the circuit after the race has finished, and they got plenty to cheer about.
Frentzen and Irvine, of course, were sparring partners over in the Japanese Formula 3000 Championship, and Ralf Schumacher, so all three, the first three men in the race, all on the podium, have all very much come to Formula 1 from Japanese Formula 3000, so it seems like that's continuing to be a good breeding ground.
Yes, as has Pedro de la Rosa, of course, for Formula Nippon and Tour Takagi. Good, an excellent point. So, to summarise the Australian Grand Prix, a result we didn't expect as they come out on the podium. Eddie Irvine, the winner in Australia. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and what a welcome they get from the crowd. Heinz-Harald Frentzen second on the left, and Ralf Schumacher on the right in third position. And Jean Todt, the technical boss, congratulates Irvine as the national anthem rings out. National anthem in the world, the Italian national anthem for Ferrari. Germans, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, long shot of him there, Ralf Schumacher on the podium, but that is the man who did it, Eddie Irvine.
16th time on the podium for Eddie, but his first time on the top step, and is he going to enjoy that? Interestingly, none of the assumed top three championship contenders scoring a point today. Irvine leads the World Championship, of course, and what a great drive.
And he's got the finest trophy in Formula One there, that magnificent Australian trophy, which is a replica of Jack Brabham's Cooper steering wheel. You can see the Australian kangaroo in the middle, surrounded by Australian diamonds. The back is Australian silver, and it's got a carbon fibre racing base. That's a wonderful trophy to take home. And it was presented to Eddie Irvine by Jeff Kennett, who is the Premier of Victoria. And you saw Ron Walker, who is the chairman of the Australian Grand Prix Corporation, give the trophy to Heinz-Harald Frentzen.
Presentation team leave the rostrum.
And now we're starting all over again. It's champagne time in Australia.
Well, that's a great sight and a great moment for Eddie Irvine. He's been trying since the Japanese Grand Prix back in '93, and now he joins the list of British winners this decade of the Australian Grand Prix. Mansell, Hill, Coulthard, and now Eddie Irvine. Rejoin us in Melbourne very shortly. Sorry about that. Tremendous win here for Britain for Eddie Irvine. I think we can pop straight down to the press conference, can we? Eddie Irvine about to enjoy his win.
Congratulations, Eddie Irvine. 82 attempts in your first win. How does it feel?
It's fantastic. To do it with Ferrari is amazing. You know, it was incredible all weekend. Me and my engineer, we've been just working away, doing our own thing, and we've made different choices from a lot of people on various things. And really, we were convinced we were going the right way, and apart from the McLarens, we proved we were. You know, it's fantastic to do it with Ferrari, and after such a long time, you know, and all the people have helped me, and from Formula Ford all the way up. It's a big thank you to everyone who helped me. They all know who they are, so there's so many. I'd be here for a few hours. I needed a lot of help to get here, believe me.
Eddie, the key moment seemed to be at the end of the first safety car period. How did you see that?
Well, Mika, I don't know. I think he was in a problem. He had a problem. He went very slow, and I knew the rule. As long as I didn't go ahead of him, it wasn't classed as overtaking, and he was going so slow, and I did him, and that was great. Thank you very much, and off I went. And then, you know, obviously, I knew I had to build a lead up for Hines, obviously, because I didn't want to have him doing me at the pit stop, so I pushed like hell, and of course, the next thing, just as I was building up a gap, the pace car came out again, and then I was lucky enough just to be able to build up a big enough gap to get out ahead of him for the second run, and then I think it was a BAR, held me up for about 4 laps, and it looked like his engine was about to blow, which was really worrying, because I thought, you know, if that goes, you know, I have a good chance of going off on the oil, but everything worked out okay. Can't complain.
Were you using a different race setup from Michael?
My car, I really, you know, we started off fairly similar, then we made a fairly fundamental change in the car, which I felt would be better. I'd tested it at Fiorano, and we came here, we tried it, and immediately I felt it didn't work, and Michael wasn't sure, so I went back to what I was happy with, and you know, even on the Friday I kept saying the car feels good, I don't understand why we're slow, and then Saturday again the car felt good, I just couldn't do, you know, weren't quick, and then today the car felt good. It's a little bit unstable and a little bit quick change of direction, but actually the balance is fundamentally fantastic, to be honest. This is the best car I've ever driven, for sure.
Thanks, Eddie. Heinz Harald, your first race with Jordan, and straight away a podium in a second place. Tell us the story of your race.
Well, first of all, I'm very pleased with the second place with Jordan together. It's great to be on a podium. The race situation, like Eddie explained, the key point was the safety car situation. All of a sudden, Mika Häkkinen went slow, and I don't know why. I thought there was a bit of confusion because I didn't see any green flags at the end on the last lap, and I wasn't quite sure if it's really the end of the safety car time. But then I saw Ralf coming up on alongside, and I said, Jesus, he's going to overtake me just before the line. But luckily he didn't for him, and but he passed me on the end of the straight. I could pass him back to the second corner, and I think that was the key point. And then Eddie was pushing like hell at the beginning. I tried to keep up with him. That's the strongest race I saw from Eddie so far, I have to say. Really, it was really going like hell. It was, I was trying to keep on with him. And I was thinking he has on soft tires, he must be tired in, well, at least the tires, they must be tied after a couple of while. And, but he keep on going, and I thought it's pretty difficult to beat Eddie today, and I tried to make my own race.
Well done, Heinz Harald Frentzen. Amazing, you know, all the drivers that finished in the top 6 have driven for Eddie Jordan at one time or another. And we'll be back to have a word with Tony Jardine about the big moments of the Australian Grand Prix. you are back with us in Melbourne. A wonderful day in the career of Eddie Irvine. If you were with us right at the start of the programme, you might remember I said the headline on the Australian paper this morning was "Here we go again." Are they sure?
Fast but fragile, or what? I mean, who would have thought that both the McLarens would have gone out like that, and who would have thought that Eddie would have got his first win in '82 Grand Prix? The most successful driver to visit the podium has now got his first win, you know, and he never had a win in all that time. 8 podiums last year, it's great for him.
From the word go, though, Tony, you got the feeling this wasn't going to be McLaren's day.
We were talking about it at the beginning, we were talking about the reliability. Here we are in the garage before the start of the race, already some ECU problems on the engine of Mika Häkkinen, and he's changing over to the spare car, putting him in there, and there's a lot more things that were going wrong for McLaren, and we talked about at the beginning, it's all about reliability. These things, these cars, and there you saw, that was plugged into the ECU unit from the umbilical cords, which are all in that big ancillary gantry overhead, caught around the rear wheel. That dropped onto Ron Dennis's head, it dropped onto one of the mechanics' head, and even Coulthard had come into the pits with
I guess when the roof falls on your head, you do think perhaps someone up there isn't actually looking after us. At the start of the race, I mean, when we left it last year in Japan, Schumacher stalls on the grid, and here we do go again.
Deja vu, and a great problem, but it's a question of had everybody gone past him or not? No, because there's Kuranosuke Takagi behind him down the pits. It would have been a Ferrari decision from the team manager to say, okay, you've got to go back and start from the back of the grid, but in fact the arrows went behind him. Now, it's reported that one of the mechanics last year was sacked because he failed to get enough dry ice into the car that caused him to stall after the restart in Suzuka. Deja vu, he must have thought this is a replay.
And then another restart and a crucial moment in the race for Eddie Irvine.
Yeah, now the safety car came out after the rear wing failure of Jacques Villeneuve. Now the safety car just pulled off there. This is fabulous restart. Mika Häkkinen, we thought, oh God, here he goes, he's going to get back into lead, but those engine problems came back in. It was something, and Eddie Irvine, great there, great feeling and moment for him, but you also saw Ralf Schumacher briefly going up into second place, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen got that second place back from him just after that. But Eddie was never headed in the Ferrari. He felt good, and it was like Suzuka last year. Once he knew that his teammate Schumacher had been sent to the back, a flick switched inside him. He felt responsible. He felt motivated. And, you know, how can you come into a race with a contract saying you can't win?
Yes.
And he's gone and won. I think that's even great. Smack one in the face for the lawyers.
Yeah, it is absolutely great. I said to you that every one of the 6 drivers, thank you very much, every one of the 6 drivers had actually raced for Eddie Jordan at one time or another. So let's see Eddie, the star maker, talking now to James.
Well, Eddie Jordan's got a real reputation as a nurturer of talent, and today, Eddie, 6 of the top 6 drivers, all 6 of the top 6 drivers are guys you've brought right up to the top, and there's a tear in your eye, isn't there?
Well, I don't want to say that, but very emotional, to be truthful, because I started a youth policy many years ago, and this is the ultimate, you know, really.
A word about Eddie Irvine, though, his first win, that very special feeling. You had it yourself in Spa. What's he going through right now?
Well, it's a fantastic day for Irish motorsport. I brought Eddie from Japanese Formula 3000, where, you know, he had his ups and downs and problems initially with Senna, and latterly with, you know, playing understudy to Michael, which I thought was beginning to annoy him somewhat. Today has just been remarkable. I don't want to take anything. Jordan was second, but today is Eddie Irvine. It was fantastic. And as I say, a great day for the Jordan team. We have realised some of our ambitions that, you know, we're on our way. We thought Ferrari weren't going to be as strong as they were, perhaps, but who knows? Today is a great day. Let's cherish the moment. For Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who's just joined the team, remarkable performance, you know, in front of everybody and not knowing what's going on or what's happening. He was within a second or two of Eddie at the end, and it was actually a very good race.
As always, Eddie, you said it all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, he does well at that. We'll have to have him up here as a summariser at some stage, won't we, or anything like that. Wonderful, though, for Eddie Irvine. He has proved now he can win in Formula 1.
He has, and you think about his start in '93, when he unlapped himself against the great Ayrton Senna, and Senna punched him in the garage afterwards for his troubles.
Punched him in the garage? That was painful,
punched
that
him
one,
in the
was it?
garage afterwards. But the other thing that we have to remember is that Irvine raced all last year in extreme pain, and he's beaten the pain barrier because he didn't fit properly into the driving position of the Ferrari, so much so that they've constructed a special seat seat for him this year with his air cavities, where he can actually pump the seat up, and he's feeling comfortable at last. And we have to praise Sonia Irvine, his sister and physiotherapist, because she did hour after hour of work on his back last year. Every time he got out of the Grand Prix car, he was in severe pain, and I think it's a great tribute to her, to him, and the whole Irvine
And also,
family.
just quickly, this sport does matter to him. He's delighted by that win.
Absolutely over the moon. I've never seen him so happy, and quite rightfully too. He can go back to his £4 million yacht, the Anaconda, off Genoa and have a beer.
And so are we. You can see a rerun of this fantastic race a bit later this morning at 11:05, and the highlights coming up just before midnight on ITV. Well then, what a race. Your dedication really has been rewarded. You've seen a fantastic Grand Prix as it happened. You've seen a British victory, and you have seen Eddie Irvine winning for the first time in Formula One. Well done to you all. Good night.
If you would like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by F1 Racing Magazine is www.itv-f1.com.